The area where Brunello is grown in Montalcino has now extended over 2,100 hectares for many years. In the 2023 vintage, there was a situation that could not be called homogeneous. One thing the old vintners used to tell us, even we are talking about 80-year-old vintners, that in their memory, of course, the downy mildew has always been there, but not in this virulent and aggressive way that led in some cases even to very important quantity losses. This is the effect of the blight, so much so that the leaf is no longer needed now.
Definitely quite a difficult year in more ways than one. This significant and constant May rainfall, and in addition to the rainfall, also the humidity with unusual fog and therefore fungal diseases, and then, in other areas, the misfortune of hail that did some major damage.
However, going around the vineyards, you can also see beautiful bunches of grapes.
Yes, because after the fungal wave and downy mildew, the weather has been at its best, and the harvest season has been ideal for a vintage that we can call traditional classic with an October of great days. In these unbalanced vintages, there are always doubts. Has the lowest alcohol content, but no more than that. I don't think it will go back to 13 degrees, but it won't be 15. I did see some nice extractions, though. The flesh of the berry and all the components worked in the right direction. One cannot say that it will be the great vintage, no, but a good vintage with more freshness and a more sustained acid note, and also a more pleasant drinkability, more perfumed, fresher, less alcoholic, therefore more easily manageable.
We came to Montalcino precisely to try to understand, now beyond of press releases, of statements by the single producer, of articles about alleged disasters, we came to see for ourselves. One thing is certain, it was definitely a different vintage from the last few.
The monsters that have passed over Montalcino have been 2 passes of hail and downy mildew. Are they causes of climate change?
I would absolutely say yes, just because these days 2023 has been classified as the hottest year. These are very important. The brownish color, tending to reddish, shows the ripeness of the grapeseed. So it means that the phenolic ripening is also right.
Crunchy, the skin a little rough and still a little chewy.
Then there is a trend of nutty flavor. The grape seeds are almost crunchy and have this characteristic. Otherwise, there should be a green feeling if it was not the right maturity. That's why it's important. Taste the berries between the rows. This is not a fad. It is a very important sensory indicator of the ripeness of the grapes.
Grassing has been very important this year. It is precisely the grassing that allowed us to always intervene in a timely manner after the rains and defended us from downy mildew.
Of course, grassing is useful because the treatments are then done with machines, so it also helps the soil hold. It gives texture and solidity between the rows.
When we had started work for grassing, we are talking about 30 years ago, with the University of Florence, we had seen that with grassing also the microclimate that is created in the vineyard is between 2 and 3 degrees Celsius less hot. This is useful for the plant. It is useful for the people working in the vineyard and also for the crop.
In May, the rains were very heavy. Grassing is also very important to manage water and prevent erosion.
I mean, Andrea, we have just been to Coldosia and found a very encouraging situation.
I believe it is a situation that we will also find in other wineries we visit. The quality of the Sangiovese is definitely good. Even those colors that you kind of glimpsed on the selection table, that is Not that red so concentrated, but that lighter red, is the color of Sangiovese in the times and ways in the traditional ways. Luigi Magnolfi, administrator of the Mastroianni Company, and then came the 17th of August. What happened here in Mastroianni? We are on the Montalcino side of Castelnuovo dell'Abate, towards the interior.
Let's say that this year started out, as you know, a little bit difficult because of the problems with downy mildew, but we had managed to get that under control. Then came, as you rightly said, August 17, a big hailstorm that affected almost the whole farm and initially made us worry so much.
To get this straight, parked cars had their windshields damaged because of the size of the hailstones and the violence with which the hail hit the vines.
The vineyards quite close together and all around the winery. That made me very worried when I got the alarm call because I thought about the vineyard next to the parking lot. Then actually, when I arrived at the farm, I realized that there were a couple of more affected vineyards where the leaf wall was almost completely missing, but within the 40 hectares the situation was quite different and recoverable. Since then, although it is hard to talk about luck, it has not been so bad. In fact, we were very lucky because from August 18 to September 30, when we finished the harvest, we had a climate that I would say was ideal. That is, we had zero rainfall and hot, dry wind, which allowed the part of the cluster affected by hail to dry out completely and the healthy part to remain healthy. We put in an extra sorting table and we put in a new vibrating table to sort each individual berry. So we had 6 people before and 4 after for selection. Besides that, we went slower than usual, so we had more people. Usually in a normal year we can harvest about 110, 120 quintals a day. This year we did 60 quintals, so half. Very careful and slower selection. We have the quantity of 2021. We can say that 2023 is of good quality. Still, if it is too early to judge, however, it will have to be a very good vintage in quality, but with less quantity. I cannot afford to have a classic vintage.